So we're going to do a side-lying clam exercise. I like to start with a small pillow between the legs just to keep the level of the top thigh equal with the height of the top hip. And what we're looking at here is a little bit of external rotation of that top leg, but again, looking at what muscles are firing. So we want Marcy to get into her rotator muscles and hip abductors and not the hip flexors, which tend to overpower, again, in a lot of strong runners. So we're just going to have her lift that top knee up, keeping the feet down, yep, and lower the knee right back down onto the pillow. And I have my hands here just so that I can feel when she's utilizing her rotator muscles versus engaging through the hip flexors. So we can even ask you to release a little bit more through the front of the hip. Do you feel that? Mm-hmm. And then get even a little bit more through the rotators, just to there, and then come right back down. Good. Yes. So a lot of times the quads and the hip flexors tend to overpower and take over movements that they're not really intended to be performing. So we want to retrain these outer hip muscles a little bit more. Good.
And just because the movement is small doesn't mean that it's not effective and isn't going to help you in some way.
Exactly. And a lot of times we start barely lifting the knee off the pillow because people are just learning how to retrain and find those muscles. And then eventually it can turn into a much bigger movement and we can add more repetitions here too. Good. Excellent. And side leg work, hip abduction work, is really important for a lot of runners. We'll go ahead and show another exercise here with the legs straight. And then this top leg is going to come, keep the bottom leg forward, yeah. The top leg is going to come right in line with the body, which is often kind of hard to figure out where that is if you don't have someone guiding you. So you can lie up against a wall with your head, your shoulders, your bottom, and your heel against a wall, and that will tell you when you're in the right position.
So again, yeah, because usually the leg is more forward than it should be.
Exactly. Usually this position feels like the leg is really far behind you, even though it's right in line.
Yeah, it feels like I'm an extension.
Exactly, but you're not. I'm not. So from here, all we're going to do is just a leg lift, really small, keeping the leg in parallel, lifting and lowering. And again, it looks really easy, but to do it well actually takes a bit of control and strength and awareness of these outer hip muscles. So even just lifting and lowering, really basic, is a nice place to start. Then we can add, just pause here, we can add some rotation here. So rotating the thigh out a little bit, and then rotating the thigh in. And just finding how much available movement and rotation is there in the hip socket. Good. And then we can even take it into a little sway, so we can swing the leg forward. Good, and then release the leg back. Again, kind of imagining that she's just gliding her leg along a tabletop, trying to keep that same height consistent, keeping that control and strength through the outer hip. And again, going back to the Pilates breath and Pilates engagement of the core, she's having to stabilize here so that her body is not rocking back and forth. So if she weren't controlling it, you'd probably see a lot of movement through the torso, which then we're taking away from what we're really trying to work.